In today's video, we are recapping the haunting and atmospheric film A Dark Song, released in 2017 with only £50,000 of budget. The film delves into the intense and grueling process of a magical rite from the Book of Abramelin as a grieving mother seeks to contact her deceased son. If you want to know more about this movie, stay tuned and watch our full recap. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. The movie starts with Mother Sophia Howard, who comes to a very rural place of Ireland to rent a house and is ready to have it immediately by giving the realtor 1 year worth of cash. It seems somewhat desperation in her character. Then, Sophia goes to meet the occult master, who's going to make her see some unforgettable things that she never thought of it in her lifetime. They discuss about seeing the house and go there to inspect if it is perfect for the ritual. Then Solomon asks Sophia if she is following the rules to purify herself. To purify, Sophia has to maintain these following things. She cannot have any alcohol for the past 22 weeks. She cannot have any sex. She can only eat from morning to evening for the last 27 days. Then he asks if she's Roman Catholic or Protestant. With some hesitance, Sophia tells him that she's Roman Catholic. Then Solomon informs Sophia that he will do all the rituals with the help of the book called the Rite of Abramelin. This is actually a true concept. Back in the 15th century, the occultists used this book to do rituals for their own needs to do good or harm by the angels and the demons. With the help of this book, Solomon has done this ritual 3 times, but he saw result only once. But he asks Sophia why she wants to do the ritual. She replies, for love. She loves someone, but he doesn't love her back. That's why she wants to do the rite, to make him fall in love with her. Then when they get out of the house, Sophia asks him if he's going to do the job, but he refuses, even though Sophia is ready to pay him a huge sum of money for doing this ritual. From his point of view, Sophia is just a stupid, posh girl who's acting like a teenager. It's like she's paying to a Renaissance Italian painter to decorate a cake. From Solomon's point of view, the total reasoning is quite absurd. As Solomon wasn't budging then, Sophia spills the real tea. Obviously, it was for love, but love for her son who was murdered. She's dying to hear his little boy's voice one last time. But the occult master tells Sophia that it is a very deep thing, as it will involve real angels and demons in the whole process. But Sophia wants to go for it no matter how dangerous the whole thing is, as it was all about love. They started to listing out some necessaries and foods, as they won't be able to leave the house for at least 8 months once the ritual starts. Here, our occult master has his own problems with booze. He tried to sober for months, but still struggling. In another room, while going through her boy's stuff, she sees his picture and his toys, but when she's ready to sleep, she keeps a chair in front of the door to block anyone's entering, as she's still very suspicious about this occult weirdo. The next day, when Sophia went outside to bring out the groceries, she saw someone was going after a child. She's going to see what is going to happen, but in the meantime, someone grabbed her from behind. It was her sister, Victoria. Her sister was so concerned of Sophia's well-being. That's why Victoria asks Sophia that if she believes in God, and most importantly, is this godly? But our brave protagonist assures her sister that she doesn't afraid of any dark and negative force, as she's doing all this for her beloved child. She also tells to Victoria that she has 2 healthy children, but here, Sophia is suffering immensely. How come this kind of goodness is offered by the god to her? In the meantime, Solomon cleanses the area where they are planning to hold the ritual. In the evening, Solomon and Sophia spend time together and discuss things about honesty, as Solomon tells her that it doesn't matter if she knows stuff or not, but she must be truthful about everything, otherwise she must face horrible consequences because of this. In the final morning, before locking themselves up in the house for months, they go for a walk. There, Sophia sees a dead dog rotting in the field, which isn't a very good sight to see. Returning home, Solomon seals the house with some salt for a psychic thing, but he again asks her if she wants to back out now, because later there is no way to do so. The weirdo starts the new day by throwing a bucket of water on the sleeping Sophia, as she still hasn't woken up yet. Later, in the downstairs, he talks about some important steps to complete the ritual, which needs some kind of words and numbers to get together the whole thing. But Sophia doesn't understand why she has to do everything, as she's paying him the huge sum of money. But aggressive Solomon shouts at her and tells that is nothing to do with the money, and she has to do the job. He's being too dominant towards her without any logical reasons, and tells her that she has been cleansed ritually, but also she has to purify herself physically. By physically purifying means Sophia has to vomit out all the food inside out, and she does so. At night, Sophia sees a dream where an old lady is standing there with her dead son while looking at her. But the real deals start from now, as the ritual is going to begin. Some circles have been drawn on floor, as each circle's contacts to the 5 realms of reality. Everything has to be completed one after another, which will bring her closer to the worlds. Besides, whenever she will complete each circles, her guardian angels will grow bigger and very powerful. There are triangular, which represents the Holy Trinity, which will help her to focus on this without going insane. In another room, it has 2 squares, which is the symbol of number 4. It is about her longing and baseness, and here she will gain her apprehension. Then, our hairy back guy gets his back hair shaved by Sophia, as he has to be cleaned in every way. In first step, Sophia has to concentrate in her coolness to release the house from this world, which will take almost 2 days. And in the meantime, they have to stay still in the bigger circle without any food, rest, or sleep. And after 2 days, she has to do exactly same thing in her own room as well. Wow, it sounds tiring. Desperate Sophia gives all her concentration and read out the chants she's supposed to. Here, she witnesses the very first sign of something ungodly. The door of her room opens on its own, and she sees the goblin toy of her son is knocked over and a dog is howling outside. In the morning, she tells everything to Solomon and asks when she's going to see some real changes. At the same time, a bird hits the window of her house, which shows the ritual has actually started. To complete each circle, Sophia needs at least a week. Besides, as she's the main man of this ritual, some impacts are showing in her too. She prays so hard, but she collapses in the middle of the praying. And when she prays, dogs barking can be heard from afar. In the next part, Sophia has to gain the power of forgiveness, but she aggressively says she doesn't do forgiveness as she wants to give her son's murderer horrible pain. Then Solomon drains some of his blood to Sophia to drink, as they also need blood sacrifice. Sophia does so without any hesitation. But super suspicious Solomon Master gives her another glass of blood to be sure that she's actually gulping it down or not. It shows how much desperate a mother to hear her son's voice once again. Sophia starts to hear sounds and creaks on the floor of her house, realizing that she's been noticed by the other world's people. But Sophia thinks that maybe it's her boy. Solomon marks the place wherever Sophia hears that thud sounds. Later, Sophia tells Solomon about all her dreams. She thinks, as she's always thinking about this stuff, that's why she sees the same types of dreams again and again. Then, when they again start the ritual, in the triangular thing, some sexual tensions are going on between them, which shows Solomon has attraction towards Sophia. He tells Sophia to come after freshening herself up, as they have to start another ritual, which was a total lie. And he was less aggressive towards her, unlike every day. But when she asks if he's going to need his books or not, he shouts at her and asks her to take all of her clothes off, as it is the part of the rites. Woman knows whenever guys act fishy. She understands that it actually wasn't any part of the ritual, so she calls her a piece of shit. It confirms that Solomon has some personal issues with drinking, as well as his uncontrollable behavior. With too much frustration, Sophia wants to leave the house, as there's no point anymore, but Solomon assures her that she just has to keep patience to see some results. Following that, Solomon gets another back shave, and Sophia has another glass of blood as the sacrifice. While doing all these, Sophia sees some flour lying down on the floor of the hall, as it is some kind of good sign. She prays so hard and witnesses some gold rain is pouring down on her. She thinks that her guardian angels are listening to her prayers, and soon something good will happen to her. But while continuing the same process, she doesn't see any flowers or gold rains anymore, which makes her angry. She thinks nothing's actually working, and he cannot do his job properly either. But here occult master has something to say. He thinks the problem is Sophia here because she's not confessing the real truth. It's not actually her love, rather it's her obsession for revenge. In the meantime, Sophia tells Solomon that Jack, her son, was killed by a group of teenagers who were doing their own satanic rituals. Here, Solomon somehow looks depressed and sick. Forgetting about his no-drinking resolution, he grabs the bottle and starts drinking. Being drunk, he comes to Sophia's room and takes her to the bathtub to do a ritual for Sophia to born anew. He starts to read some lines from the book and sprinkles water on her head. Then he tells he's going to dunk her in the bathtub 3 times. With the first dunk, her soul will purify, and with the second dunk, she'll be able to feel her void. But at the final time, he drowns her and doesn't let her out, which confirms he's a total nutjob. But this idiot takes her out from the bathtub and starts doing CPR to gain her consciousness. Eventually, she comes back to life. But here, Solomon actually did this ritual to actually purify Sophia's soul, as she again lied about her son's death. He first did baptism on her and then resurrection. This is totally messed up. Gaining her consciousness, Sophia wants to punch Solomon on the face and slams him. He falls down somehow and starts growling in pain. Sophia sees that somehow he got stabbed by the knife. This shows that the ritual is actually working. As they can't leave the house, Sophia does her best to treat Solomon. Later, she hears a baby crying and runs to the hall to check, but she sees that a doorknob is clacking on its own, so she opens the door to see what's happening. But she sees nothing, but when she turns over to go back to her room, she watches a shadow of a man is passing through the triangular room. She tries to follow him, but there's no one in the room but some kind of magical sign written on the wall by blood. Later, when Solomon and Sophia are having conversation, she asks what will happen to her boy's killer if they're going to get gruesome punishment that they deserve. But Solomon says it doesn't happen like the way she wants all the time. At last, Sophia is hearing what she's dying to hear, her son's voice. At night, she hears her son calling Mommy from the other room. But is it actually him, or some demon is trying to provoke her? As everything is in deep situation now, she has to be very careful. She cannot get too excited and open the door either. Then everything will be lost, and the evil will win. To enrage Sophia, Demon starts to impersonate a dog who's trying to hurt Jack, but still she doesn't open the door because she knows the consequences. She just apologizes to her dear son. But here, Solomon isn't doing good. He can't even walk properly without Sophia's help. But as Sophia is very confident about the whole ritual, she goes on her own, doing whatever she needs to do and prays hard. She hears some sound behind her, but she sees as if someone was sitting on a chair, and there's a cigarette beside the chair. She gets a candle to have a better look, but she sees nothing except the cigarette is lit. But most weird thing is, we find Sophia is sleeping in Solomon's bed as he's going through in his final time. The whole situation is quite awkward. They share some thoughts on that time, and Solomon mentions just like Sophia, he also had lost someone. But the next morning, Solomon is gone for good, and Sophia realizes she's on her own now. As she was perplexed by the whole situation, she plans to leave the house despite Solomon's strict warning. When she goes to start the car, it doesn't start. So she just leaves the car and starts walking. After walking for a while, she finally sees a house, and going closer to that house, she realizes it is actually her house. It seems she won't be able to free herself from this mess until she resolves everything. So she just goes into the house and sees the house is total mess. She hears some foot approaching and handprints on the wall. But most disgusting thing is she sees puke on the floor, covering the photo of Jack. She sees around and notices Solomon on the floor. She knows all these happened because of demons, so she doesn't help Solomon and sits at the top of staircase. Moments later, she sees a hand of an evil pulling Solomon's body from the ground and taking away. Later, she is in the room with a candle lit, but it blows away with some wind. In the pile of darkness, she goes to hall and try to light on a match, but she sees a group of evil figures standing in front of her. But as the light is gone, she tries again, but there's no one. In her room, she hears Solomon shouting at the top of his voice, and also Jack comes back to call for her mommy. All these disturbing noise is haunting Sophia down immensely. Here, Jack asks why didn't she pick him as she promised to do so. Sophia apologies, but Jack asks if he wants him to forgive her. Then she confirms it's actually not about that, rather it's about his killers. In the morning, Sophia sees some good signs again as she finds flowers in the hall to confirm that the ritual is still going on. But a bit far from that, she notices Jack's goblin toy, and also the woman from her dream is standing right there in front of her. When she tries to turn around, someone knocks her out at that time. When she wakes up, she's in a dark room where all the evil figures are surrounding her. Even that dead dog is also present there. Then, all the demons come to her and start grabbing her one by one as they're trying to make a bond so that they can come to in this world. The whole scene is really gruesome. One guy tries to cut one of her fingers, which freaks her out, and she gets the hell out of there so quickly and runs to upstairs. There, she sees some holy glow coming from a room. She goes in there, which leads her to the circle room. She sees a giant angel is there, and those gold rain is happening just like the way she experienced before. Here, we see some character development from Sophia's side, because all this time, she wanted to seek revenge for the killers of her boy, but now she's asking for forgiveness. In another scene, it shows that she's letting Jack's body go as she forgives everything and everyone and ready to grieve. Next, it shows Sophia is leaving this place as she is genuinely grieving for her son's death and not seeking revenge anymore. From this point, we can see Sophia needed to reflect on herself and embrace the truth that she couldn't do before, and she needed to prioritize herself as well. Besides, she never mourned enough for this heartbreaking part of her life. She didn't cry enough, she didn't grieve enough. That's why all these evil thoughts messed up her mind. Finally, when she tells Jack sorry, the ultimate breakdown happened and she could start crying for the loss of her son.